Okay, we're going to use webElect to create and track a letter for newly registered voters. So we're going to go to the Deliverables section and under Other Deliverables. Since we don't really have a good classification otherwise, we're going to click Add New Deliverable. And we're going to call this Newly Registered. Type is going to remain Other. Description, shortcut keys an old feature, so that's no longer used. Now, if you're in Firefox, you do have the ability to put the letter in here, but if it's a complicated letter, or probably just, I would not recommend using that just until we get it updated. So click Save. We're just going to use webElect to keep track of the voters that needed to be sent and have been sent. So once we've saved it, we go back to Deliverable List. Now we can see newly registered is there. And so now we need to go add some voters to it. So each month we're going to come in here and pull the newly registered voters for that month. We can see the current voter data in webElect is current through 6/30/2015, and that's based on when the state releases their data. They used to release it, we would have it live by the second week of the following month, but due to some issues they've had, they have been much slower getting these releases out, and now it's closer to 4 weeks, the last week of the following month before we get the data, unfortunately. So we can see here we're going to go pull newly registered for the month of June. So we're going to go to Query Targeting. In my demonstration, I'm going to narrow it down just to some precincts so we don't get quite as many voters because I've got Hillsborough County selected. Now we're going to put in the registration date. We're going to say June 1st, 2015 and after, and we only want registered Republicans. Now again, if you're doing your whole county, just don't select anything else. Then we're going to click Next Page. So here we've got 68 voters, and you can just make sure that that count seems like what you would expect it to be. It should probably be close to the same every month until you get closer to the elections. And now on the output options, we're going to go down here to Add To and tell it that we want to add to the deliverable queue for our newly registered letter. And then we're just going to click Run Report. And it's telling us it's added those to the queue. So if we go back to Main Menu and go to our Other Deliverables and click the queue for newly registered, we can now see all those people it has added. So if for any reason you want to go through here and review these, you can do that. And you also have the option, if for some reason you want to kick certain people out, you can check mark anybody you want to kick out and click Remove Checked. And that's going to kick them out. Okay, so I'm sorry, go back to queue. Once you have the queue of everybody that you want to output, you just click Output. And since we are not using the mail merge functionality directly in webElect, we're going to tell it to export because we're going to use Microsoft Word or another word processor that has mail merge features to merge our data that we're outputting here in with the letter that you create in that other program. If you export the household, it's going to give you one record per address, with the addressee name being either, if it's just a single voter at that residence, it's going to use that single voter's name. If it's multiple voters, it's going to say the such and such household. But you have the option of changing that. Maybe you want to print each individual letter, but then you want to come back and print labels for the household, for each household. You could do that. You're just going to have a little bit of a manual process matching those individual letters up with the householded label. So we're going to export in household. I'm going to click Run Report. That creates our file that we're going to save so that we can use it in Microsoft Word as the mail merge data. Once we've downloaded that, just keep note of the name. And then maybe if we want to go ahead and print the labels as well, we can now select Labels and click Run Report. And that too is going to create a download file. Let's open that up so we can see what it looks like. Let me move it into view. Okay, so here's our labels now. And that just prints the standard Avery 3-column, 10-row label sheets. So we can just hang on to that for when our letters are printed and we want to stuff the envelopes. Okay, once we're done printing all these people and exporting them, we want to update the queue so that we know that they've been handled, so that our next month ends up only being that month's voters. So now that I've updated those records, we can see if I come to queue for newly registered, there's nobody in there. Everybody has now been moved over to completed since we clicked that completed button in the last step. So that's how it keeps it organized, and it'll keep track of the date that that person received that letter. So anytime you then later look up a voter record, like I'm looking up here, when you go to their deliverables option, you can see any letters that they've received and the date that they received it.